Hey guys, I'm Evan and this is Magnolias in Sunlight, and today is day 23 of DIY or Die, my series where we make a Halloween inspired DIY project every day in the month of October. And today we're going to make one project like 3 or 4 different ways, kind of mix it up. I'm a little under the weather, so it's going to be a more chill project. Have some hot tea here and just really embrace those cozy fall vibes because we're going to make some quilt ghosts. So I love this project and it is all over the internet. This is nothing new, but this is one project that I have seen so many times that I really, really want to make it. So I'm going to show you guys how I'm going to pull this project off. So if you've been on Etsy at all, there are banners of quilt ghosts and pillows and sweatshirts and ornaments and little, I don't know, large ornaments that you hang from like a pegboard. I've seen a lot of those. So I'm going to show you how I'm going to make them, because my big thing and why I haven't made this before is that I just don't have the heart to cut up a vintage quilt. But what I don't mind cutting up, and that I found a lot at the thrift store, are pillow shams. And these are just mass-produced polyester pillow shams that have, this one just has a vertical or a horizontal, depending on how you're holding it, quilt stripe down it. And it also has these really cute tassel bobble things on the end. And then we have a variety to play with. This is just another one that has kind of that stripe quilt pattern, but I think for a ghost pillow we don't need something that's like really aggressive. I do have one that is more of a tan color that we could play with. My thought was to use this one to make 2 or 3 pillows, this one to make our banner because it has like the cute fringed edge, and then I got one that is like a toile pattern. And this is a Laura Ashley pillow. It has kind of more of a really quilted design on it, like the stitching. We have a contrast back. So I have a specific pillow that I want to make this with, and then I also think I want to cut out one of these and then put it on a sweatshirt. So like I said, we have quite a few pillows to tackle today. The other thing I want to mention about the shams, you have so little sewing to do because it already has a back. And we're going to top stitch these, so it's basically like you cut out the shape you want and then you sew it and then you're done because you already have a built-in back. You're just basically changing the shape of the pillowcase, which is so cool. So let's dive in and start cutting up some fabric. Okay, so we're going to start with our small ghosts. And I figured start small, learn from any mistakes that we make before we make the really big ones. Because obviously with this banner, we're going to have a bunch of tiny ghosts that we can make. And then if 1 or 2 of them aren't great, we don't need to use those. So I'm going to start right here in the corner. And I do think, as much as I hate pinning, that pinning this fabric in place to cut it is going to be the best move. And then I'm pinning through all the way because I want to keep that backer or the back piece where it is. But this is so easy. This is 3 pins. It's not that big of a deal. I'm just a lazy seamstress, I suppose. I don't like pinning. I also want to point out that yes, I did wash all of these on hot with a laundry sanitizer. Okay, so again, utilizing the fact that we already have hems and seams in place, this is going to be like, we just now have to sew around this. Like, how great is that? And then I have my clips here. So I'm going to go ahead and as I take a pin out, because I only have one of these patterns that I made, I'm just going to clip my pieces together so that they are already ready to go through the sewing machine when I get to that stage. And then I am going to play with the bottoms of these a little bit. Like I have this, and I think that's a really cute pattern, but I think I might even it out on some. Like now that I'm seeing it, I don't think I want that on the, it looked cute on paper, but I think on here, Oh, those are not, those are the paper scissors for the pattern. Too many scissors on the table. I think I'm gonna round that out a little bit. So this is just a cute little piece. It is kind of large, but I think on a banner it's gonna make a statement. And then we could attach a loop of ribbon around the top and make a little like door hanger or ornament or whatever. But we're gonna make a bunch more of these, and then we'll move on to the other patterns and the other pieces of fabric. All right, so we have 9 of our little ghosts, and then this is the extra bundle of fabric. I don't need to use all of it, and I'm gonna hold on to all of these scrap pieces for my quilted shore coat. I've also managed to purchase quite a few other floral versions of these shams, things that have some kind of quilting and then some kind of mostly sage green florals. And I'm going to do a big patchwork coat because I still can't cut up that quilt that I bought, but I don't mind, like I said, cutting up these mass-produced pillow shams. But so like I said, we have 9 of these. I'm gonna go find a ribbon so that I can add our little loop. I think that's gonna make them easier to attach to a banner. And then we're just going to sew them all. They're all a little different. They are definitely cousins, not twins, or sisters, not twins, whatever the saying is. But I think that is going to make it look better on a banner because it is handmade. We don't need it to look like it's mass produced. So let's go find some ribbon and get to the sewing machine. Okay, so for our little banner ghosts, I have this scrap ribbon that kind of, I think, like mimics the bottom. I don't know, it seems like a good way to get rid of a piece of scrap ribbon that I am not currently needing nor using. So I'm gonna cut a little loop, and then I'll go back and cut loops for all of them that are the same length so that we can try and make sure that they all hang about the same distance from our banner string. And then I'm just gonna peel that up and clip it in. And then we're just gonna sew right over that. And then we can put our banner string through the loop, or you can hang these wherever. If you want it to be more of an ornament, you know, use a longer loop. Okay, so we're just going to start at the bottom and do a little stitch all the way around. And that's it. And there you have a little ghosty banner. So I'm gonna clean that bit up, and then I'll probably trim this side a little bit too. So then for our big pillows, I have this guy that's kind of fun and blobby, and it's flat across the bottom. I wanted to try one of those. I have this little, like, I don't know. Every time I see one of these, I think Pac-Man Ghost, but I think this one I'm going to do out of the blue, out of our toile. I just think that's going to be so cute. And then I will cut a piece of this off the back and do like a heart on it somewhere. I saw that was a very popular thing, and because I have contrasting fabric, I think this is the one I want to try that on. And then for our really large, just plain white pillowcase, I am going to do one of each of these. And then we'll stuff them. And these are very similar, but their body shapes are different. I figured we would just make a bunch of these little ghost pillows and see how they all turn out. Okay, so we have our toile or floral, whatever you want to call it. And I only used about half of this, which is awesome because I'm going to cut here, and then I can flip this. Actually, ironically, it's the side with the tag. I could add some buttons to this and then turn this into a really cute pillow sham or a throw pillow. So I'm going to be able to get two, well, a sweatshirt ghost, a pillow ghost, and an entire pillow out of this thrifted sham. I'm really excited about that. So this I can take off and we can use in another way, because that's going to get sewn down to the sweatshirt. So now we just have that we can put on our sweatshirt. Very cute. No clips necessary. And I want to use some of this to make a heart to put on this one. I've seen a lot of people do that, and I think it's really cute. I don't know, do I want to mess with the scallops down here? It's really nice that I have a hemmed edge. I think we're just gonna leave it. I think it's gonna be okay without them. And I think it's still gonna be really cute. And this is much easier shape for people to sew who are new to sewing. And then let's fold this. Let's find a good piece with good florals. Maybe right there. Cut out. That's actually almost a heart up there, so let's just cut that out. Now you have a cute little cottage ghost. This is nothing scary about these ghosts, for sure. These are too adorable. All right, so I went ahead and I did sew this one the same way we've been doing it with that top stitch. And I'm hoping I like it better when it's flipped inside out. I'm just not used to having this raw edge. And I know that's kind of the vibe of these pillows. So I did one with the raw edge, and then this is open because I need to still stuff it. But on this one, I've gone ahead and flipped it right sides together. It is sewn closed at the bottom, so I'm going to leave this part open so we can stuff the pillow. But this is the original hem of the pillow. And then I'm just going to sew around the edge of this and then flip it and see if I like that better than the raw edge. On the banners, I think it's great. On the sweatshirt, I think it's going to be a vibe. On this pillow, I'm just not. Honestly, it looks messy to me. But like I said, I know that that's the vibe. Okay, so I'll let you guys be the judge. I like the finished version, but I think I just like, this obviously, I don't know. At this moment, it looks like an oven mitt. I get the vibe of this. I really do. The top stitched, unfinished, cutesy, cottage, we just whipped this together thing. But I also think that this one is cute. I do think that obviously I would have made things a different shape because you fold so much in. You kind of need to make your pattern bigger than you think you need. But I think this one's really adorable. And we will fold this down in here and hem it all up once I stuff it. But we'll see, again, what they look like stuffed and on the couch. I'm giving you guys both options so you can see which one you like, and then you can make what you prefer. But we're going to move on to the blue and white one. And I want to sew this heart down. So this I am going to zigzag stitch. So I'm switching my stitch over. And I'm just going to zigzag, again, a top stitch on this one. I'm going to start at the bottom of the heart. Make sure that I only have one layer of fabric. Normally you would just take the back off, but it is attached on this one right now. So kind of have to just work around it. All right, so here is our little stuffed pillow with the heart. I think the heart probably needed to go up a little higher. And then I'm just kind of massaging around the fluff to make sure that it looks good. So we'll add some eyes to this in a minute. We have all of our little banner ones sewn and ready to go on a banner. They also need some eyes, so that's going in that pile. And then we have these two guys, the ones out of the same pillow, but one is sewn with the right sides together, one is top stitched. And now we're just going to take our big bundle of fluff and start stuffing these. And then we will sew those closed, and then all we have to do is add eyes to all of these. And then I will pull out, I have a white sweatshirt that I got from thredUP that I have been planning to do a DIY project with. But I'm going to switch it up and put our other blue ghost on that sweatshirt because it's already here and I don't need to go search for another sweatshirt. And I think the blue on the white sweater will look really cute. All right, so we have all three of our pillows here and then all of our little banners up here. And I'm looking for some black buttons to do eyes. So I think these are a good size for this one. Maybe they might be too big. What about these? Yeah, I think that's better. I think that's cuter. And then I'm also considering doing like some kind of embroidery on here, but we'll see if I have time for that. Those ones are cool on there, but I'm also thinking on that one, I'm wondering if this is like a grab bag of buttons, but what about like, those are too yellow, but like a mother of pearl on there would be really pretty. Of course, like I said, this is just a thrift store bag of buttons, so I don't know if there's any pairs in here, but maybe we can get lucky. But I do think going mother of pearl on that one is going to be really nice. Is that a match for that one? I might have found it. Yes. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do on there. I think that's really pretty, and it keeps it kind of chill. And then for our banner, I'm just going to cut felt ovals and put those on. These are obviously not the same size. I do like the idea of these being buttons too, but I just don't have, we did made 9 of these, and I don't have 18 buttons of any variety. Unless we just went like crazy mismatched all the way across, which if that's the vibe you're going for, I think that could be cool. But I think I want the eyes to match on all of those. So I'm going to go with felt and fabric glue, and then we'll sew on these other buttons to these guys. Okay, so over here we have 9 sets of eyes. I just cut out 18 ovals, and then I started pairing them up to make them match, basically. And now I'm just using this B7000 glue that I like to use for felt projects. It holds fabric fairly well, and since this is just a banner, I'm okay gluing it. Obviously, you could stitch them in place if you wanted to. For the pillows, we're going to stitch everything on because those are going to get a little more wear and tear, and I wouldn't want to just have pieces glued to them. Okay, so for our banner, we're going to take some macrame cord, and on one end, we're going to tie a loop, and then we're going to grab our little ghosties and tie those on. Then I want these to be evenly spaced, so I am going to get a ruler and put them about, let's see how, I don't want the bottoms to be too close. So let's do, say every 9 inches, we're going to tie it off. Make sure your loops are lined up so that they hang the right direction. It's easy to just throw them all on there and then all of a sudden be like, wait, why is that one hanging backwards? And then have to undo it all. We don't want that. It's going to take too long. Okay, so in addition, while I have this here, I've got this gold sparkle fabric. It has like kind of a gold fleck. And I'm going to cut this into strips. Probably, well, let's just do one. And this doesn't have to be super precise. Then I'm going to cut that up the middle. And then we can tie this on, making sure the knot's at the bottom, like so. All right, so here is our sweater. And I went ahead and, oh, I'm gonna take that pin out so I don't poke myself when I put it on. I thought I got them all. I just top stitched all the way around this with a very close zigzag stitch. It's not like a spaced out one. It's a very tight zigzag because I really wanted it to blend. And now I need to pick eyes. And I had 2 large black buttons out and it just didn't it didn't vibe with me. So I Googled a bunch of these, and these are on Etsy everywhere. You can support a local seller, support someone who is a maker, and just buy one of these handmade, which I always recommend. If you don't want to make one, support someone who has made it. And a lot of them have cut the eyes out, but they're on a black sweatshirt. So I could have cut out the face and then top stitched around there as well. But I also like the idea of doing eyes. And I went through my button stash, and that's kind of cool. I wanted something more unique than just black buttons. So obviously I have a little vintage button stash. I also like that. Brass was my initial thought when I decided not to do the black, but then the tortoise I also thought would look good. That looks like an alien. That's not gonna work. That's fun, but I don't think it gets the point across that they're eyes. Again, that's too buggy. So the ones that or maybe I just leave it. I don't know. Maybe I need to cut out fabric again, like I did for the pillow. And put just blue eyes on it. I'm also wondering, the more I do ghost projects, if part of me, like, I feel like ghosts with just eyes are cute, but then I'm like, but it also needs a mouth. And that's what I'm struggling with. Maybe we need to do a mouth. Maybe we can put 2 eyes. Because I like the idea of like the vintage buttons. And then we do like a ghosty mouth out of the blue fabric. No. I don't know. Maybe we just leave it plain. Maybe you're just left to imagine. Just know that it's a ghost. I can do 2 ovals out of this fabric. I have a lot of this scrap that we can make some ovals out of for eyes. See, that looks good though. And then it's super subtle. I think that's what I want. I just want the subtlety of it. Okay, so I decided just to really quickly, oh gosh, there's another pin there. I did not pay that close attention to getting all of those out. I'm just going to very quickly baste these on. I don't like the idea of using fabric glue, even though it's easier. I really want, if I'm gonna wear it, I want it to be sewn down. All right, guys, as you can see, I finished the sweater and I really like it. I just realized that it still has the tags on it. I got it from thredUP, but I guess it was new with tags. And it is just kind of a drop shoulder sweatshirt, but I love our little ghost. And now I have a pillow and a sweatshirt that match. I'm going to a vintage market this weekend, and I think it's finally chilly enough that I can wear this sweatshirt. And I am not a holiday sweater, sweatshirt kind of person. I always feel a little silly wearing them. But I'm gonna try and get over that because I really like this. Now I'm gonna give you a little bit of a ghost tour, not around the house. I'm sure there's plenty of ghosts in here that wanna say hi, but just a tour of all the pillows that we finished. So I think I mentioned it in the intro, but I wasn't feeling too hot yesterday. So some of these last steps I did off camera, I just needed to get them done. And then I went and crashed because I had a migraine. So forgive me for not showing you every single step, but I will talk you through them right now. So for the eyes, we did go with the mother of pearl. And then I went ahead and cut out some of the backing fabric. There was a lot of extra of this between these 2 projects. The one on my sweatshirt, we actually cut the back off of because it wasn't necessary. So I have all of that fabric. It's literally sitting right here in my clean up this project mess. So we did just a circle around each eye, and that really, I think, helps bring them out. I liked the idea of the black buttons, but it was just too heavy for this pillow. So I love that we went with the mother of pearl option. It's more delicate, it's more dainty, it's very cute. And then we added the heart down here, and it looked great when the pillow was flat, but once we stuffed it, it kind of gets lost a little bit when you have it sitting on the couch. Here, it's great, but it does kind of go down a little low. So I went ahead and cut a second one out, top stitched it on the machine to match this one, and then I stitched it onto the pillow. I mean, once it was already stuffed, I kind of just had to figure out how I could add things. And then it needed a little bit more. I just wasn't done with it yet. So I had these two triangle pieces sitting in my scrap pile, and I thought I could combine those two triangles and make a really cute bow for our ghost. So I stitched the two of them in the middle on my machine, and then this was just another offcut. It was like a rectangle, a long strip, and I wrapped that around that stitch. I put a dab of glue on the back. This bit is glued together, and then I sewed everything down with just like a hand sew stitch all the way across the top, and that's how we ended up with this really adorable little ghost. And I love her. I think she's the cutest little quilted ghost that I have ever seen, and I made her, so it's so fun. And then we have two more. We cut these both out from the same pillow sham, and I did this one finished and this one with the rough edge, and I hated the rough edge when I first started like making them. Once I stuffed it, it's less egregious to me. It's less noticeable, and it looks like the ones online. It looks like what I wanted to make and what I set out to make. For some reason, I couldn't see it when it was flat. Once it was stuffed, I was like, okay, you're pretty cute. So I love this one. I left this one plain. It took everything in me not to add more to it. I was going to do some like flower patchworks on it and make a flower ghost. We've already made flower ghosts, so I thought, you know what, leave this one simple. If you really decide you want a flower quilted ghost, we can just make another one, and then we'll have a trio. So these are just small black buttons that we picked, and I think he turned out really, really cute. My one suggestion is when you are making these, make your pattern bigger, because I really would like this head to be a little rounder, and maybe the arms to be less like, I don't know. I would make your pattern a little bigger than you're expecting, because once you stuff it, it like shrinks in because you're using that fabric widthwise. So hand drawing your patterns is great. Just size it up a little bit. And then we have this little ghosty guy who I added a felt mouth and eyebrows to. Those are all just whip stitched on, kind of like we stitched our snail the other day. And I like the shape of this one. It sits on the couch better because it does kind of have this like flat bit. And we want the button eyes again. And then I just felt like the head on this one was a little bit off. Can you guys hear that alarm? I hope not. That's annoying. Someone's car alarm is going off outside. So what was I saying? Oh, the head. The head on this one, I felt like the shape was a little weird once I sewed it. And I tried a couple of things to like stitch it on the inside and fix the shape, and I just wasn't happy. So what do we do when we have a bad hair day or we want to cover something up? We put on a hat. So I had this little felt hat in my Halloween stash that was taken off of something, I don't know, a long time ago. And I just sewed that on with some black thread. So that is fully stitched on. You're not taking it off. It's not like I just hot glued it on there. All of these are stitched, including all of these parts. So I hope you guys enjoyed this, because I now have 3 very cute ghost pillows and a really cool sweatshirt. And then also, obviously, we did the banner, which I will throw in some stills of. And again, I just really love it. This cottagecore style is not something that's normally in my home. We definitely skew like teak wood, mid-century, 1950s vibes. But I think you can incorporate some of these things if you like. When you really love them, I can't deny it's super cute.